I'll work for nothing. Just give me a chance. The cowboy's reply changed her life. Before the story truly begins, imagine a small, cozy log cabin standing tall amid snow-covered fields. The cold western wind sweeps through every crack, rustling the pine needles and carrying the scent of smoke from a distant fire. Inside the cabin, the flickering flames dance along the wooden walls, reflecting off the worn floorboards, creating a warm and peaceful sanctuary amid the biting winter chill. Emily Dawson stood shivering at the door, her eyes glistening from the cold and fear. She had never endured a night like this blizzard loneliness, and the whistle of wind through the train station doors made her heart ache. And then through the thick veil of snow, a figure appeared, Jack Harper. He halted atop a black horse wearing a wide leather coat, a scarf wrapped around his neck, his gaze calm yet warm. His presence gave Emily a flicker of hope amid utter solitude. Jack didn't say much. He gently draped his coat around her shoulders, then took Emily's hand and led her into the cabin. Their footsteps crunched softly in the snow, faintly muffled by the wind, creating a strangely comforting rhythm. As the cabin door closed, the cold stayed outside, leaving only the warmth of the fire and the aroma of tea filling the room. Jack stoked the fire, the flickering flames reflecting on Emily's face, letting her feel the first warmth after hours of biting cold. He poured her a cup of hot tea, the fragrance of the leaves, mingling with the scent of burning wood seeping into every sense. Emily breathed deeply, feeling the warmth spreading from Jack's hands as he handed her the cup. Without many words, just a look and a gentle gesture, Jack established a connection. An invisible thread of trust and empathy began to form. In that moment, Emily realized that in the harsh West, sometimes simple kindness and genuine care can change a life. A new story was beginning, a destiny connecting two lonely souls amidst the blizzard and the comforting glow of fire. And in this cabin, for the first time, Emily felt that she was no longer completely alone. Part 1. A Fateful Encounter. Inside the small log cabin, the wind still whistled through every window crack, creating a steady sound like the heartbeat of the Wild West. The old wooden walls reflected the flickering fire from the small stove in the corner, illuminating the narrow yet cozy room. Emily Dawson stood shivering by the door, her thin cloak offering little protection against the biting cold from the blizzard outside. She took a deep breath, trying to suppress the shivers each time the wind lashed against the window. The cabin door slowly opened, and Jack Harper appeared. He wore a dark leather coat, a wide-brimmed hat atop his head, and a scarf wrapped around his neck. His eyes met Emily's directly. Without many words, just with calm gestures, he gently took her hand and led her inside. Emily followed, her breath heavy, but a faint spark of hope glimmered in her eyes. Jack draped his coat over Emily's shoulders, his warm hand touching her naturally without force. Emily felt a sense of protection. She had never known a feeling of being truly cared for by another person for the first time. The firelight reflected on Jack's face, softening his usual stern expression into a reassuring gentleness. He moved to the stove, adding a few more logs to the fire, the crackling sound blending with the faint scent of burning wood and the aroma of tea he was about to pour. Emily stood still for a moment, watching his every movement, feeling warmth spread through her body. The cabin's soft golden light and the familiar scent of firewood and hot tea gradually replaced the numbness and anxiety within her. Jack arranged a simple meal on the table, a few slices of toasted bread, some cheese, and a steaming cup of tea. The tea's aroma mingled with the toast, and Emily inhaled slowly, her breathing gradually steadier. She sat down, watching Jack busy himself with small tasks, a mixture of curiosity and relief in her eyes. Every careful and gentle action of his was a tender touch to her heart, making Emily feel genuinely cared for without any ulterior motive. As Jack turned to adjust the blanket on the chair, Emily couldn't help but study his face closely. In the firelight, Jack looked stern but not intimidating. Instead, he radiated a sense of safety, a certainty Emily had never felt before. She felt an unusual trust that here, amidst the blizzard and the harsh west, she would no longer be completely alone. Emily took the cup of tea in her hands, savoring each sip, letting the aroma fill her senses with an extraordinary comfort. She watched Jack sit opposite her, his gaze calm yet warm, silently reassuring her that everything would be all right. Emily realized that these quiet moments, brief as they were, held an incredible healing power. The wind outside still whistled through the cracks, but inside the cabin, Emily and Jack seemed shielded from the storm. Small gestures, the hand Jack lightly placed over hers to adjust the blanket. His fleeting, worried, yet gentle glance slowly melted Emily's heart. She realized that in this barren, harsh West, the simple kindness and care of one person could soothe the deepest loneliness. Jack looked at Emily without asking if she wanted to eat. He placed a slice of bread in front of her, filled her cup with tea. Emily held it silently, feeling the warmth pass through his hands. In that moment, she said nothing, but a new trust began to form, a trust that she would be cared for and protected. Her breathing gradually returned to normal. The shivering within her subsided. Every small gesture of Jack's felt like a message she was no longer alone. Emily didn't need to speak her thanks. Her eyes conveyed everything. While Jack busied himself preparing the meal, she sat quietly, feeling warmth spread through her body, a sense of safety she had never known. Outside the window, the snow still fell thickly, blanketing the vast fields in white. But inside the cabin, Emily felt she had found a safe haven. The crackle of the fire, the bubbling tea, and the warmth of Jack's hands combined to create a gentle, peaceful atmosphere. For the first time in years, she felt truly protected, a feeling that made her exhale in relief and trust the person standing before her. This moment was not only physical safety, but also spiritual serenity. Emily realized that sometimes in the wild and harsh West, simple but sincere actions, a coat, a cup of tea, a calm gaze could change a life. She looked at Jack, her eyes full of gratitude and hope, realizing that destiny had begun. Two lonely souls were finding each other, and in this warm cabin, a new story, gentle yet full of hope, had begun. Emily sipped her tea, letting the aroma fill her senses, warmth spreading through her body. She slowly lifted her head, their eyes meeting, and in that quiet moment, she knew that at least for tonight, she was no longer completely alone. The wind outside the window was no longer frightening, for inside the cabin, there was fire tea and someone who placed her safety above all else. The fateful story of Emily and Jack began at this moment, a small, tender, yet powerful moment, enough to heal a wounded heart and open the door to trust, love, and hope. Part 2. Sharing the past. The fire in the cabin flickered golden sparks dancing along the wooden walls, illuminating Emily and Jack's faces. The space was quiet, broken only by the whistling wind outside the window and the gentle crackle of the fire. Emily held the steaming cup of tea in her hands, inhaling deeply, feeling warmth spread through her palms. She looked up at Jack, her eyes a mix of curiosity and cautious scrutiny, as if trying to read part of his story. The losses, the pain, the hidden wounds she had never known. Jack sat down across from her, his hand resting near the chair, his gaze steady yet unpressuring. He drew a long breath and exhaled softly, focusing on choosing the right words. "Emily, I've lost a lot." He began, his voice low, warm, and effortless. "People I trusted, people I called family. They left when I needed them most. I learned to stand alone in this harsh West with no one to help me." Hearing him, Emily felt a deep surge of empathy. She sensed the sincerity in his calm, warm voice, the quiet pain hidden in his eyes. Gently, she placed her hand on the table close to his, as if to connect an invisible thread of trust. Taking a deep breath, she began to share her own story about the night she stood at the train station, shivering in the blizzard, with no one by her side. I was left behind too," she said, her voice trembling, yet soft. "No place to turn, no one to shelter me." In that moment, the cabin seemed to fall into complete silence. The crackling of the fire became rhythmic, emphasizing the peacefulness shared between two lonely souls. The flames reflected in their eyes, revealing both pain and loneliness, yet also a fragile hope. They looked at each other, recognizing that the other's suffering mirrored their own. A quiet but powerful empathy began to form, bridging the gap between two people who once seemed utterly alone. Jack gently took Emily's hand, not to reassure her with words, but to convey certainty she was no longer alone. Emily felt warmth radiate from his palm, enough to chase away the lingering chill within her. They remained silent together, sharing the moment, allowing the cabin to become a safe space where the past could be revealed without judgment. Emily spoke of lost family, of those she had trusted and hoped for, only to be abandoned. Her words mixed with soft sighs and the light clinking of her teacup, creating a gentle, reflective rhythm. Jack listened intently, his eyes never leaving hers. The firelight, highlighting his usually composed features, now softened with rare tenderness. As he revealed stories of friends and colleagues who had betrayed him, Emily felt a resonance of pain, as though she were reliving her own losses alongside him. In this moment, both seemed to shed their outer shells. Jack was no longer just a stoic cowboy. Emily, no longer just the trembling, frightened girl. They were two bare souls sharing pain and vulnerability, empathizing without lengthy explanations. Trust began to take root, gentle yet firm, like small flames illuminating the cabin amidst the blizzard outside. Jack gave a rare smile, not from joy, but from relief at seeing Emily gradually open up. Emily, her eyes slightly misted, returned a soft smile filled with gratitude and trust. In that instant, they understood that this deep empathy would form the foundation for leaning on each other, even as the West's challenges lay ahead. They continued to converse, each word soft and deliberate, yet fostering trust between them. Every story, every memory, painful or sorrowful, became a thread connecting their hearts. Emily felt her heart warm for the first time since being abandoned at the train station. Jack realized that Emily's quiet strength and tenderness had awakened a long-buried softness in his own heart. The fire flickered, tea's aroma filled the air, and the wind howled outside. All combined to create a perfect moment of empathy, healing, and trust. In the cold winter night, the cabin became a place where two lonely souls found each other, found safety, and most importantly, found the courage to open up and share their pain while daring to hope for tomorrow. With each passing moment, Emily realized she no longer felt as isolated as before. Fragile as it was, trust had begun to blossom between the two lonely hearts. Jack, with his rare gentleness, had not only shielded her from the cold outside, but had created a space where she could safely reveal her past. Emily began to understand that even in this harsh West, there were people whose kindness, tenderness, and understanding could heal the deepest wounds. This moment marked a turning point. Emily and Jack, two lonely individuals, began building a bond based on empathy, trust, and the warmth they offered each other. It was the foundation for a story of love, healing, and hope, a story they would continue to live together in the chapters yet to come. Part 3. Gentle Kindness. Inside the log cabin, night had fully settled, leaving only the firelight dancing across the old wooden floor and warm walls. The biting cold from outside seemed to have no effect anymore, replaced entirely by the warmth radiating from the fire and from Jack Harper's nearby presence. Emily Dawson sat on the wooden chair, still wrapped tightly in Jack's coat, feeling safety seep into her little by little. Her gaze lingered on Jack, full of gratitude and curiosity, wanting to understand the gentle man before her. Jack didn't speak much. He moved quietly around the cabin, checking the rug, brushing the remaining snow off Emily's boots, and bending down to prepare a set of dry clothes. Every gesture was slow but intentional, unhurried, unpretentious, entirely natural. Emily watched each action, sensing the sincerity behind them, the selfless care. A rare feeling of safety quietly settled into her heart. He placed the dry clothes on the chair beside her, the firelight making every fold of fabric appear even warmer. "Put these on," Jack said softly, his voice low but warm. "You'll feel more comfortable." Emily lowered her head, slightly embarrassed, then gently took the clothes, feeling the soft fabric with her hands. She thought to herself that in this harsh West, such simple kindness often carried more power than distant promises or lofty commitments. Jack sat down across from her, his gaze calm, yet filled with concern. He spoke little, simply, observing Emily, ensuring she felt comfortable and safe. Emily felt that quiet tenderness, keenly a sensation she had never encountered in anyone before. No ornate words were needed. This genuine care alone was enough to soothe the lingering fears inside her. She changed into the dry clothes, her breathing beginning to steady, her heart no longer racing from cold and fear. Emily watched Jack busy himself, organizing the cabin, the firelight reflecting off his face, softening his usually stern features. She felt relief, safety, and realized that this comfort didn't come solely from the coat or the fire, but from Jack's pure, selfless kindness and care. Jack prepared a fresh cup of tea for Emily, the aroma mingling with the scent of burning wood to create a warm, gentle atmosphere. Emily took a deep breath, feeling warmth spread from both the cup and from Jack's hands as he handed it to her. In that moment, she felt completely safe, not only physically sheltered, but also protected emotionally, an experience she had never known before. The crackling fire, the whistling wind outside, and the rising steam from the tea blended into a gentle, calming rhythm. Emily began to relax, letting her body and mind ease. She realized that in the harsh West, simple, sincere care and kindness were the strongest forces, a warm light in the blizzard, enough to dispel loneliness and fear. Jack looked at her with steady, empathetic eyes, silently conveying that she could trust him, that there was no need for fear or doubt. Emily felt it, a trust slowly but surely taking root like invisible threads connecting the two of them. This moment required no grand words, only gestures, glances, and spreading warmth, but it was enough to establish their first bond, laying the foundation for everything that would follow. Emily sipped her tea, letting the warmth flow through her body. She felt every act of Jack's, from preparing the dry clothes, arranging the cabin, to his gentle and steadfast gaze. Each one spoke a single truth. Jack cared for her out of kindness and empathy, not for any gain. For the first time, Emily experienced pure, selfless protection, allowing her to breathe easier, relax, and open her heart naturally. The cabin remained warm, the fire flickering, the golden light reflecting on their faces. Emily looked at Jack with gratitude and trust, realizing that this genuine tenderness and kindness was exactly what she needed after months of loneliness and hurt. Jack had not only shielded her from the cold outside, but also created a space where she felt safe, cared for, and protected, a feeling she would remember forever. In that moment, the cabin was no longer merely a shelter from the blizzard. It had become a place connecting two souls where Emily experienced trust and security for the first time. She understood that no matter how harsh the West might be, sincere kindness and gentle care would always create a steady refuge. And in the warm glow of the fire, Emily knew she could rely on Jack, at least for tonight. And for the first time, her heart felt truly light. Part 4. Social Pressure. The new day in the western town retained the quiet of snow-covered fields, yet the air had grown heavier. The cold wind whistled through the old wooden rooftops, sending old signs flying, and occasionally slipping through windows, creating strange echoes that reverberated in Emily Dawson's mind. She stayed close behind Jack Harper as they stepped onto the main road leading from the cabin to the town center, where townsfolk had gathered to watch people pass by. At that moment, Sheriff Morgan appeared. Stern, neatly dressed with a sharp gaze, he brought a weight to the air. He stopped in front of Jack and Emily, his hand resting on the handle of his whip, as if to remind everyone of the town's strict rules. People around them began whispering eyes, curious, some even subtly disdainful, toward Emily, making her heart ache with fear and anxiety. Jack Harper stood firm, his broad shoulders and calm gaze forming an iron wall between Emily and the outside pressures. He did not withdraw or flinch, but looked Sheriff Morgan straight in the eye, his voice low and steady. "She's with me. She'll stay here." The short, decisive words carried strength and honor, giving not only Emily, but also the onlookers, a rare sense of certainty. Emily felt her heartbeat begin to steady. Jack's eyes, full of resolve, yet not anger, sent her a powerful message. He would protect her, no matter the pressure from society or the rigid laws. Warmth spread through her, as if he were the safe wall she could lean on. Sheriff Morgan snorted lightly, watching Jack for a moment, before turning his scrutinizing gaze on Emily. She sensed the tension in the air, but also saw Jack's strength and determination clearly. She realized that his power did not come solely from muscles or survival skills in the harsh West, but from his honor, his determination to protect the vulnerable, and his willingness to stand against injustice. Jack stepped forward, slightly shielding Emily behind him, his gaze fixed on Sheriff Morgan. She has nowhere else to go. I won't let no one treat her unfairly. He said, his voice low but unwavering, emphasizing each word. The statement rang across the town, silencing the whispers of the crowd. Emily felt a new trust blossoming in her heart. She was no longer alone, and there was a man ready to protect her from any pressure. In that moment, Emily clearly saw Jack's strength and honor not through promises or showy actions, but through his steadfastness, calm, and courage to defend her amidst the curious and judgmental eyes of society. The social pressures seemed to fade slightly, replaced by a glimmer of hope that even in the harsh West, there were people who valued kindness and justice. Sheriff Morgan stared at Jack for a long moment, then nodded slightly, as if acknowledging his resolve and honor. Emily took a deep breath, her heartbeat easing. She realized that Jack's strength not only protected her in that moment, but also laid the foundation for her to feel safe and gradually open her heart to a new connection. Jack placed his hand on Emily's shoulder, a small gesture yet filled with protection and care. Emily responded with a grateful look, feeling warmth radiate from this simple yet meaningful action. Though the town was cold and full of judgment, beside Jack, Emily knew she could stand firm, trust him, and most importantly, feel hope and safety amidst the harsh West. This moment was not just a confrontation with social rules, but a turning point for Emily, realizing that amid storms and pressure, the kindness, strength, and honor of one person could inspire deep trust and hope. Jack, with his steadfastness and gentle care, became the first and strongest anchor Emily could rely on, opening a new chapter in her life, a chapter of trust, safety, and flickering hope. Part 5. Spiritual Connection. Night gradually fell, and the cabin lay quiet, bathed in the soft golden glow of the fire. Outside the window, snow drifted gently, each flake spinning lazily through the air, creating a romantic yet untamed western scene. Emily Dawson sat curled near the chair, Jack's thick coat draped around her shoulders, warmth spreading throughout her body. She felt her heartbeat slow each breath, in rhythm with the gentle crackle of the fire, bringing a peace she had never known. Jack Harper sat across from her, his gaze gentle yet profound, observing her smallest gestures. The space was silent, broken only by their breathing and the popping of the fire, but the distance between them no longer felt like a barrier. This was a moment where two lonely souls found each other a space where they could share without hesitation. Emily let out a soft sigh and began to speak of the dreams she had long kept hidden. I've always dreamed of a place where I could feel safe, a real home. But it always seemed so far away, she said, her voice trembling yet tender. Jack remained silent, listening, his eyes full of empathy. He did not interrupt, only nodded slightly, letting Emily feel that her hopes and fears were heard and understood. The air grew warmer as Jack shared his own hopes, his desire to find peace after loss, and the things he longed for in life that few knew. I just want a place where the people I care about can feel safe. A place where kindness is still valued, he said, his voice low but sincere. Emily sensed the honesty in every word, and her heart gradually opened, allowing trust and hope to seep in. They continued to talk, sharing their fears, moments of loneliness, and past wounds. Emily recounted the nights she shivered at the train station. Jack spoke of the days he struggled alone on the plains facing blizzards and the harsh challenges of the West. These stories, though painful, became bridges creating deep empathy between them. Jack gently placed his hand near Emily's, a simple but warm gesture, signaling that she was no longer alone. Emily felt tenderness spread through her fingertips, a safety she had never known. In that moment, they were no longer two lost souls in a vast, unforgiving world, but two hearts finding resonance, healing, and strength in each other. The wind outside still whispered, but inside the firelight, the steam from the tea and Jack's gentle care created a serene, healing atmosphere. Emily felt her heart lighten, fear and worry melting away. For the first time in many months of solitude, she could exhale deeply, sensing true peace within. They continued to converse, unhurried, unforced, simply sharing and listening. Each story, each pain or hope became a thread, connecting them, forming a lasting spiritual bond. Emily realized that in this moment, she could fully trust Jack, not only because he had protected her from the blizzard and social pressures, but because he brought empathy, gentleness, and pure kindness. Soft laughter, exchanged glances, and meaningful silences transformed the cabin into a place of absolute safety. Emily understood that this connection not only healed old wounds, but also opened a door to new hope. Her heart softened, opened ready to receive the care, protection, and trust that Jack offered. Outside, darkness enveloped the land, but inside the cabin, the fire, the tea's warmth, and the tender bond between two lonely souls had transformed the space into a private world where pain was understood, loneliness soothed, and hope began to bloom. This moment marked a turning point in Emily and Jack's lives as their souls found each other connected through empathy, trust, and gentleness, opening the next chapters full of promise, warmth, and healing. Part 6. A Moment of Heartache. The golden firelight danced across the cabin, reflecting on Emily and Jack's faces, casting soft, blurred shadows on the wooden walls. Outside the window, snow continued to fall thickly, each flake drifting slowly onto the vast plains. The space was silent, broken only by the gentle crackle of the fire creating a slow, tender rhythm. In this moment, the cabin seemed to exist outside of time, a place that belonged solely to Emily and Jack, and the emotions they had never shared. Emily looked at Jack, her eyes glistening with the firelight, and realized that something lingered within him, a quiet pain she had never seen in anyone before. Jack took a deep breath, his gaze settling on Emily. Then slowly, in a low but sincere voice, he uttered, "I was left too." The words rang softly, but reverberated through the space, striking both of their hearts. Emily felt the loneliness, the loss, and the quiet resilience within Jack. She closed her eyes, allowing long suppressed emotions to surge, blending with the rhythm of her own heartbeat. In that moment, their empathy for each other transcended a fleeting feeling and became a deep connection, like an invisible thread binding two lonely souls. Jack said nothing more, yet his eyes radiated understanding and gentleness. Emily looked at him, and in the silence, she saw everything: the pain, the solitude, but also hope, protection, and pure kindness. This moment was a quiet climax where they shared their losses without lengthy explanations. It brought a profound sense of empathy, leaving Emily's heart both aching and strangely warmed. The cabin grew quieter than ever. The flickering golden firelight reflected on their faces, highlighting the small lines of worry, the understanding in their eyes, and the emotions they had never shared. Though brief, this moment was enough to awaken in them the belief that even after being abandoned and lonely, one could still find empathy and connection. Emily closed her eyes, drawing a deep breath, letting the pain and warmth wash over her. She felt a strong yet gentle bond with Jack. The tightness in her chest stirred both emotion and reassurance, convincing her that safety and hope were no longer out of reach. Jack looked at Emily with eyes full of gentleness, empathy, and steadfast resolve to protect. Emily responded with tearful eyes and a small smile, feeling deep within that they had found each other amidst the harsh West, finding empathy, healing, and the ability to open their hearts to move forward together. This moment became a pivotal point in their story, where their emotions reached a tender peak: empathy, emotion, and the opening of a path that drew Emily and Jack closer, both emotionally and spiritually. Snow continued to fall outside, but inside the cabin, the warmth of the fire, their shared glances, and silent understanding dispelled all cold, creating a space full of healing trust and hope. Emily exhaled softly, her body's trembling fading, replaced by a spreading calm. Jack leaned slightly forward. No words were needed. Through gesture and gaze alone, he conveyed protection and silent kindness. This was the moment they truly understood that sometimes a simple phrase, a sincere look, and deep empathy could heal long-held wounds and open the door to trust, love, and hope. Part 7. Trust begins. Dawn rose from the distant horizon, pale golden rays piercing the thin morning mist over the vast grassy fields, casting everything in a warm, gentle light. Emily Dawson stood beside Jack Harper, taking a deep breath, inhaling the scent of damp earthgrass and the remnants of snow from the night before. The air was fresh and still broken only by the occasional bird call and the rustle of grass in the breeze, creating a perfect moment for her to reflect and feel a rare sense of safety. After days of loneliness and loss, Emily felt her heart lighten for the first time, no longer weighed down by fear and uncertainty. Beside Jack, she sensed steadfastness, a support she could lean on. He needed no words. His calm presence, caring gaze, and small, gentle gestures conveyed a profound sense of security. Emily slowly walked alongside Jack through the dew-covered fields, feeling the firmness of his steps. The soft sunlight warmed her face, easing the last traces of tension from her lonely days. She realized that for the first time in months, she could truly exhale, no longer held captive by anxiety or doubt. Her heart opened, embracing the safety care and gentle warmth Jack offered. Jack turned to look at Emily, his gaze tender yet full of determination, silently conveying that she could trust him. Emily responded with slightly misted eyes and a faint smile, but deep within her gaze, hope began to blossom. In this moment, she understood that trust was not just a feeling of physical safety, but also a confidence in Jack's heart and sincerity, the man who had sheltered her through storms both outside and within. They walked together through the misty fields, the dawn light reflecting on the dewy grass, sparkling like thousands of tiny crystals. Emily slowly noticed her own breathing each step beside Jack and realized that gentle hope and healing were spreading through her heart. The pains and loneliness of her past, the losses she had carried, seemed to soften, giving way to a newfound sense of peace. In that moment of dawn, Emily knew she could open her heart. She no longer hesitated or feared. Her heart began to accept Jack's affection and protection. Every glance, every gentle gesture of his served as a bridge, guiding her from solitude toward trust and hope. She felt herself standing in the vast West, yet no longer alone. Beside her was Jack, a man both strong and gentle, offering trust and safety. Emily paused, looking across the misty fields, sensing that the morning light shone not only upon the land, but also within her heart. Trust, warmth, and hope seeped into every corner of her soul. This was the beginning of true healing, as Emily no longer feared, but was ready to receive love, care, and kindness from Jack, opening a new chapter full of hope in her life. The pale golden sunlight continued to spread, slipping through every window crack, reflecting on Jack and Emily's faces. They walked side by side in silence, yet a deep sense of connection had formed. For the first time, Emily truly felt safety and trust, a feeling she had once thought unreachable. And in this moment, she knew that even in the harsh West, warmth, hope, and sincere affection could still be found to rely upon. Part 8. Acts of Redemption continued. The morning sunlight flooded the farm, shining across the vast fields, the grazing cattle, and the old wooden fence stretching to the horizon. Emily Dawson stood by the cabin window, watching Jack Harper work in the pasture, sweat glistening on his brow, hands gripping the hammer as he drove fence posts, his gaze focused and serious. She sensed the steady rhythm in each step, each movement tending the farm, and in that moment, trust and safety once again seeped into her heart. Jack lifted each heavy plank, securing the fence around the pasture. Every hammer strike was deliberate and precise, not only keeping the animals from wandering off, but also demonstrating his dedication, kindness, and sense of responsibility. Emily watched him, eyes full of admiration and trust. These silent actions made her realize that Jack's protection and care were not mere words. He proved them through hard work, through tangible, practical deeds. She stepped outside, following Jack across the field, helping him guide the cattle back to the pen. Each step matched the rhythm of his labor, a natural, unforced partnership. Emily understood that sometimes care is not just spoken, it is action, a steady, persistent presence, and sincere devotion. Jack paused, wiping sweat from his brow, glancing at Emily with a gentle smile. "We're almost done," he said, his voice, low and warm, entirely unpretentious. Emily responded with a smile, feeling safety and trust spread through her. She knew that beside Jack, she was not only protected, but also genuinely cared for. Each small task carried his thoughtfulness and dedication. They moved from fence to fence, checking the planks, repairing any damage. Emily realized that these simple yet continuous acts were the clearest proof of Jack's goodness. She needed no explanations, no promises, just watching him work diligently. She knew she could trust him completely. Once the cattle were safely penned, Jack turned to Emily, wiping his hands on his pants, his gaze gentle yet resolute. "All right, they're safe now," he said. Emily stepped closer, feeling the warmth of his body, their eyes meeting in silence. The trust, hope, and sense of safety she had first felt in the cabin now radiated outward into the farm, the pasture, and the morning sunlight. In that moment, Emily realized that Jack's care was not only physical, but also emotional. With him by her side, she could move safely, trust what was happening, and feel hope gradually taking root. Every hammer strike, every step across the field, every attentive gesture became a thread connecting them, forming companionship, bonding, and gentle healing. Emily smiled quietly, watching Jack continue his work, and felt a sense of completeness rise within her absolute trust, hope for tomorrow, and the clear understanding that love and kindness are often shown not in words, but through action, through steady devotion and persistence. The sunrise illuminated the farm, yet the most beautiful tender light was the light of Jack's kindness and protection, a light that continued to mend the deepest wounds in Emily's heart. Part 9. Feelings Blossom. The sunset descended over the snow-covered fields, painting them in soft shades of golden orange, like a vast curtain drawn from the sky to the earth. The small cabin and deserted train station stood amid this scene, illuminated by the final rays of sunlight, reflecting on rooftops, wooden walls, and the snow-dusted paths. The space carried a peaceful tranquility, yet brimmed with unspoken emotions, where Emily Dawson and Jack Harper began to sense the subtle stirrings of feeling for one another. Emily stood before the cabin, watching the sunlight dye the fields in red, and the clouds in soft pinks drifting across the sky. She took a deep breath, the scent of burning wood from the cabin stove mingling with the grass and snow outside, creating a feeling both strange and familiar. Peace spread through her dissolving months of loneliness, the nights shivering at the train station, and step by step, Emily felt something entirely new: trust, gentleness, and an emotion gradually blooming in her heart. Jack stood beside her, gazing into the distance, but occasionally glancing at Emily, subtly, with no pressure, yet enough for her to feel his constant care. He rested a hand lightly on her shoulder, a silent message that she was no longer alone, that he would always be there. Emily felt warmth radiate through his touch, her heart beating faster, not from fear, but from a gentle, tender stirring of feeling she had never experienced before. They walked toward the empty train station, where Emily had once stood alone, trembling in the snow and cold wind. Now the scene felt entirely different. Jack held her hand, his gaze soft yet steady, and for the first time, Emily felt closeness, not only a connection of the spirit, but of the heart. She looked at him, recognizing his warmth, gentleness, and sincere kindness, all the qualities that had made her feel safe and trustful, and now giving rise to a delicate, gentle, and enduring feeling. The surroundings seemed to calm, with the rhythm of their hearts, the soft wind through the station roof, the sunset reflecting on the snow, a distant bird's call. It was a perfect setting for feelings to begin sprouting. Emily smiled softly, her eyes meeting Jack's, and he responded with a warm, simple smile, unadorned, yet conveying everything that words could not. In that moment, Emily felt her heart pulse to a new rhythm, a rhythm of hope, tenderness, and love beginning to awaken. Jack gently drew her closer, his eyes still fixed on Emily, but full of tenderness. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice low and warm. Emily nodded, her eyes sparkling with joy and trust. She realized that all his previous actions protecting her from the blizzard, tending to her clothes, working hard on the farm, were proof of his kindness and sincerity. And now from that goodness, a subtle affection began to grow. They walked along the snow-covered path back to the cabin, where the firelight cast long shadows across the wooden floor. Emily stepped slowly, feeling the steadiness, warmth, and gentleness Jack brought. He did more than protect her physically. He created a safe space where she could open her heart, allowing emotions to arise freely. Inside the cabin, Jack rested a hand on her shoulder, his gaze meeting Emily's eyes, the firelight highlighting the soft features of her face. Emily returned his look with tenderness, a faint smile forming, and a warm sensation blossomed in her chest. Every small gesture, a glance, a touch, a smile created subtle points of connection, letting feelings sprout from kindness, gentleness, and the trust they had built over the past days. Jack pulled a chair close, inviting Emily to sit beside him, and together they gazed out the window, where the sunset gradually yielded to the pale purple of twilight. Emily leaned lightly on his shoulder, feeling the strength, warmth, and safety she had never known. Though silent, this moment was full of subtle emotions, hope, tenderness, and a profound connection between two people. Emily recalled all the earlier moments being abandoned at the train station, Jack bringing her into the cabin, caring for her, protecting her from social pressure, working alongside her on the farm. These actions were no longer just kindness. They had laid the foundation for a gentle yet enduring affection. Emily felt her heart open, welcoming that tenderness and goodness, and from it, a subtle love began to grow within her. Jack looked at Emily, his eyes full of gentleness, but also determination. He leaned slightly toward her, as if to share something that words could not express. Emily felt the sincerity, realizing that this affection arose from kindness, protection, and selfless care. She smiled gently, placing her hand over his, and in that moment, they both understood that a new love had begun, not loud, not rushed, but gentle, enduring, and full of hope. The sunset still streamed through the window, casting a soft golden-orange glow across their faces. The cabin, with its firelight, small, meaningful gestures, glances, and smiles, had become a place where love blossomed from kindness, empathy, and the trust they had built together. Emily felt her heart brimming with hope, tender and open, ready to embrace a sincere, deep affection born from Jack's unspoken acts of care. This moment marked the first blossoming of love between Emily and Jack, a gentle yet warm love arising from kindness, protection, and mutual trust. They looked at each other smiling, and in the soft glow of the sunset, both knew that a new chapter in their lives, a chapter of love, empathy, and happiness, had begun. Part 10. Building a Home. Inside the small log cabin, the warm firelight danced across the old walls, reflecting softly on Jack and Emily's faces, highlighting gentle, tender features. Outside the window, a light snow covered the fields, falling silently as if witnessing a peaceful story just beginning. The cabin was filled with warmth, the aroma of tea and burning wood, mingling with the soft laughter of Anna and Ben, the two orphan children they had taken in. Emily sat in the rocking chair, her hand resting lightly on Jack's shoulder, feeling his warmth. She watched Anna flipping through old books and Ben building small wooden models. Both were absorbed, occasionally glancing at Jack and Emily with bright, joyful eyes. Emily felt a new connection forming, both gentle and steadfast, not just with Jack, but also with the children she was beginning to see as family. Jack knelt beside Ben, adjusting a crooked wooden model, his gaze gentle yet full of patience. Emily smiled, seeing his dedication not only to her, but also to the children. Every small act of Jack's demonstrated genuine care, selfless and heartfelt, and Emily felt her heart warm. This care, gentleness, and kindness were creating a true home, a place where she and the children could feel safe and happy. Together, they prepared a simple dinner: bread, cheese, and hot tea. Anna and Ben eagerly helped Emily set the table, while Jack tended the fire to warm the food. The cabin was filled with laughter, the crackling of the fire, and the aroma of the meal. Emily sensed a simple joy, a happiness that required no words, just seeing those around her, safe, happy, and cared for. After dinner, they gathered around the fireplace. Jack placed a hand on Emily's shoulder, his gaze full of tenderness. Emily returned his look with gratitude, realizing that in this moment, she truly felt peace and safety. A sense of healing radiated from her heart, soothing every wound from the past, every fear, loss, and moment of loneliness. Anna and Ben shared amusing stories about life on the farm, while Emily and Jack listened and laughed along. Each laugh, each exchanged glance, each caring gesture wove an invisible thread binding them together. The cabin was no longer merely a refuge from the blizzard. It had become a true home where love, care, and trust converged. Jack looked at Emily, his gaze filled with love and steadfastness. He gently reminded her, "We'll get through everything together, and this will be a home for all of us." Emily smiled, feeling trust and hope bloom in her heart. She knew that with Jack by her side, she had not only found love, but also true peace, a lasting connection they had built together. Wrapped in blankets together, Emily resting her head on Jack's shoulder, Anna and Ben asleep in warm covers, the firelight flickered across their faces. Each gentle breath, every caring gesture, every tender glance painted a peaceful scene where all pain had been healed and hope began to flourish. Emily looked out the window at the falling snow and smiled. She knew that even in the harsh West, they had found a safe place, a home where love and kindness were cherished. In this moment, the cabin was not just a shelter. It symbolized a home where everyone could find trust, happiness, and lasting connection. Jack gently embraced Emily from behind, and she felt the safety and warmth radiating from him. This moment was not merely the end of a day, but the beginning of a new life, a life full of hope, love, and healing. Emily knew that with Jack and the children by her side, she would never be alone again. Together, they were building a home, a place where love, trust, and kindness formed a solid foundation for every tomorrow. The fire crackled, casting a soft golden glow on their faces, creating a scene of absolute peace. Emily closed her eyes, exhaling softly, feeling warmth spread through her heart brimming with hope. This home built from love, kindness, and genuine care would be the place where she, Jack, Anna, and Ben could live happily, safely, and heal from the wounds of the past. This moment closed the final chapter of their journey of healing and love, a chapter filled with tenderness, romance, hope, and enduring connection. The fire flickered in the cabin. Snow fell gently outside, and Emily's and Jack's hearts beat in unison, ready to embrace all the peaceful, warm, and joyful days yet to come. Peace and hope. The small cabin glowed with warm, golden firelight, casting soft, tender reflections on the old wooden walls. Outside the window, the peaceful meadow stretched beneath a veil of snow, each flake drifting gently, creating a serene and picturesque scene. This space was filled with calm, a place where all pain, loneliness, and unease seemed completely soothed. Jack Harper and Emily Dawson stood side by side, their eyes meeting with tenderness. Both smiled, a gentle yet deeply emotional smile, conveying trust, gratitude, and hope to one another. This moment was not just the end of a day, but the beginning of a new life. A life where they would experience happiness, peace, and true love together. Emily placed her hand on Jack's, feeling warmth spread through her, understanding that in the harsh West, love and kindness were the only shelter, a steadfast support to weather any storm. Jack gently squeezed her hand, his gaze full of protection and commitment, silently promising that they would continue this journey together. Anna and Ben slept soundly by the fireplace, their gentle breathing harmonizing with the heartbeat of the two adults, creating a sense of complete connection. Emily looked out the window, watching the falling snow, and felt her heart swell with hope. Love, kindness, and unspoken protection had transformed the cabin into a true home, a place where they could live happily, peacefully, and heal all past wounds. In the harsh West, love and kindness were the only shelter, a place where people could find trust, peace, and hope to keep moving forward. Leave a comment and rate it from 0 to 10. Subscribe and tap the bell so you won't miss the next ride. The moment the cabin glowed with firelight, the snow continued to fall, and Jack and Emily's eyes met, closing the story while opening a new chapter filled with promise, hope, and completeness for all the characters.